Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Where Is. If you're not following me on social media, I have been sick. That's why I missed Talk Tuesday this week, but I'm feeling better today, so I decided to suck it up and try to film a video for you guys. I apologize if I sound off or sick. It's because I'm sick. But the case that I'm going to be talking about today is actually really important to me. I've been following it for quite some time now. Today we are going to be talking about Bryce Laspisa, who has been missing since August of 2013. Before I get into that, I do want to let you guys know that we have another Thorn campaign launching. This is a limited edition t-shirt that was designed by a subscriber named Brooke. So thank you, Brooke. Her info is linked below. She designed this and it's going to be limited edition. With the help of you guys buying these shirts over the last year, you've been able to raise over $15,000. I need to get an updated count, but I know it's over that and I am just thrilled. So if you like this design and you want to go ahead and pick out a shirt, treat yourself, because 100% of the money will be going to Thorn, which is an organization that's working to stop the human trafficking of children as well as exploitation of children. I also wanted to let you guys know that if you or someone you know is creative and knows how to do graphic design, I would love to have your submission for the next Thorn campaign. If you are chosen, you obviously get your design on a t-shirt, you get to help out an awesome cause, you get some info in the description box, and Thorn will be sending anyone who does these designs in the future a swag pack. So I will leave info on how to submit a design below and what it has to be like. And yes, hopefully we get some new fresh designs coming in. My nose is already looking red. Great. And before we get started, if you guys want to see more true crime on this channel, be sure to give me a thumbs up so I can tell what kind of content you guys like best. So Bryce, I have an immediate connection with Bryce when I first started reading his story, because I found out he is a Taurus, and not just a Taurus, but a proud Taurus with a really nice Taurus tattoo on his arm. He was 19 years old when he went missing, and he actually was just going into his sophomore year of college. He had just spent the whole summer with both of his parents, and they had a great summer. This is a really typical family. Before this, Bryce was a really social guy. In high school, his parents said he had a lot of friends. He sort of partied a little bit, but not anything excessive. He had good grades. He was a good kid and very well liked. Like, people really liked him. He is 5 feet 11 inches tall, and he weighed about 170 pounds. So like I was saying, he had just started sophomore year. That summer, he'd spent the whole summer with his parents, and everything was just fine. When they left him, he wasn't having any issues at all. He was studying industrial and graphic design and really liked his classes, so college was going great for him so far. But then his parents started getting some strange phone calls from both his girlfriend Kim and his roommate Sean, saying that he was having some odd behavior, that they couldn't quite put a finger on what it was, but he was acting sort of odd. No one had ever told Bryce's parents, hey, your son's acting odd. He was normal, like people never had anything out of the ordinary to say about him, so his parents were really alarmed by this, that two people in his life, important people in his life, reached out to them. So Bryce also had ADHD, and as someone with ADHD, I can relate and understand what that's like. And sometimes when you're in college, many people with ADHD feel the need to be on some type of focus medication, and I was for part of my schooling. I've been on and off medications for ADHD since I was 5, so I've been on pretty much every single one, and he was on Vyvanse. Vyvanse is actually the one I was on most recently. I'm currently not taking anything because Vyvanse is one hell of a drug, people. I didn't know while I was taking this, but I already have really bad anxiety, but taking Vyvanse, although it did focus me up and give me a ton of energy, it also gave me such anxiety and like shakes, and it's a really intense drug. So I've had quite a bit of experience on it. I've been on it off and on for 2 years now, and I don't know if I'll ever go back on it because it's just such an intense drug. So that is what Bryce was taking, and obviously the reactions to drugs are going to be completely different. I'm sure there's some of you out there who use Vyvanse and it's perfectly fine for you. I never experienced anything like extremely intense on Vyvanse. I just noticed overall enhanced anxiety and just restlessness, because it's a stimulant, and so it makes you kind of fucking wired. It's kind of like speed. But the problem with Bryce is he was drinking along with taking these medications, like combining them, and he was taking them not at a consistent time. Like, if you're going to be trying to use it for focus issues, you should be trying to take it at the same time every day, but a lot of people will take it like at nighttime to cram for exams, and it just really fucks you up. And I know from experience that the first 2 weeks back to college are crazy. Everyone's having having so much fun. Everyone's finally back and it's like the same old gang and people party hard. The first 2 weeks are normally just a fucking disaster on most campuses. So Bryce was definitely caught up in this lifestyle, and he was also taking Vyvanse. It's possible that Bryce had some type of psychotic episode from his Vyvanse, that it was triggered by it. Some people that take Vyvanse end up with psychosis, which literally means you cannot sleep at all. But not only that, another really odd thing that Bryce did, he met with his roommate Sean, and he decided to give Sean his Xbox and a pair of diamond earrings that his mom had given him. They were hers, so they were like part of the family. So it's very odd to just give them to someone. You'd think you would just give them back to your mom if you're didn't want them anymore. And then not only that, but when a guy parts ways with his Xbox, you know something's wrong. And then Bryce did something really weird. He started acting really weird around his girlfriend. She was noticing strange behavior for a while at this point, but then he texted her and said, "You're better off without me," which is never a good sign. Normally when you hear that, it's either someone's breaking up with you or they may even be questioning their life and taking their own life. So obviously she was concerned and called his mom, and Bryce actually went to her house on August 29th. Kim said that he came over and seemed really weird. So she called his mom and told her what was going on. And Bryce got on the phone with her and explained that he broke up with her. And then he also said, "I have been thinking about some things and I have some things to tell you when I get home."
And he says, "Mom, no, don't make an airline reservation until I talk to you because I have a lot to talk to you about."
So his mom was like, "Okay, well, you know, they're really far away. It's not something she can just hop in the car and get to him really quickly. They are hours away from this campus." So she's like, "Hey, why don't I fly in tomorrow? We can figure out what's going on, whatever." And so he says okay, and says he's gonna drive back to his apartment. Even though Kim did not think he was well enough to drive,
he told both of us the same thing. He told me, "I want my keys. I want to go home. I broke up with Kim. She won't give me the keys." And I said, "Bryce, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine, Dad."
So they sent him off, and Bryce did not go back to his apartment even though he told his mom that he did. So the following morning, his parents got a call actually from their State Farm representative insurance company. And they left a voicemail saying that Bryce had his car serviced by roadside assistance at about 9 o'clock that morning. And when his mom looked at his location, they found out that Bryce had been just sitting in the middle of nowhere with no reason to be there and no explanation for why he was there. Their credit card showed a charge for Buttonwillow, which is an area in California where Bryce was. They don't know anyone there. They don't know why he would be there, but they figured that since he was getting closer to their house, he was on his way home. So Bryce had the service at 9 a.m. His parents called roadside assistance and sent them back to check on Bryce. And he had been sitting there for 3 hours by the time the person had gotten there, just sitting in the same exact spot. So after he talked to his mom, he told her he was gonna be home around 3 p.m. and she thought, okay, he's on his way home, this is weird, but we'll figure it out. So then his mom kept calling him over and over again just to check on him as he was driving, and he wouldn't call her back or answer the phone. Another 6 hours went by without even hearing from Bryce. So they were able to track his phone and found that he had only moved 8 miles in the last 9 hours. So obviously something's really wrong, and a lot of people have been very critical of Bryce's parents in this situation. And I will say that yes, there's a lot of things I would have done differently. If I was a parent in this case, I probably would have dropped everything and driven to him. But I think his parents, you know, this is probably the biggest regret they've ever had. They probably regret every decision they made that day, and they'd probably do anything they could to change it. So just keep that in mind when commenting on this video, that there's a good chance his parents could actually see this. It's really easy to judge from the sidelines. You know, it's 2020 in hindsight, or isn't that a thing? I'm sure it was a big mistake and it's a regret, and I just like to see no mean comments, because these people have had such a terrible thing happened to them, and I wouldn't want anything but support going their way. But anyway, they decided to send a police officer, which is actually good and makes sense. They sent a police officer to Bryce to check on him. The police officer gave him a sobriety test, and he passed it completely. He was completely fine and completely sober, just chilling there doing nothing. The police officer made Bryce call his parents and tell them what was going on, even though at first he wouldn't call them. Like, he had to fight with him to get him to call his parents. So obviously then he gave them a new estimated arrival time, and they waited for him to come home, and once again he didn't show up. So they sent roadside assistance this time, and Bryce was still sitting in the same place, and it had now been 13 hours. This time, roadside assistance followed him onto the interstate, made sure he was going in the right direction, and they thought everything was good. His parents were like, okay, he's coming home, and he was supposed to be there by 3:25 a.m. And then at 2:09 a.m., Bryce called his mom and said that he was too tired and he's gonna pull over and take a little rest before continuing on the drive. So at this point, he's supposed to be home in the early morning hours, 5, 6 a.m. They're expecting to see him, and sadly, Bryce never made it home. And that was the last time that they would ever hear from him. On August 30th of 2013, at 8 a.m., the police showed up at Bryce's parents' house and told them that Bryce had been in a car accident. His car was found near Castiac Lake in California, kind of off on this embankment, like down a hill. And he was not found in the car. And all of his stuff was found in the car. So obviously, panic. Super weird. If Bryce was in the car, it'd be different. There's, you know, maybe he crashed. The way that this was set up, it was almost like the road just stops like in, you know, a movie, and a car, you know, a car would drive really fast off something like that. There was like tire marks on the road, which indicates that Bryce could have floored it and flew off of that ledge. His phone, laptop, keys, everything was found in the car. No sign of him, although there were 2 drops of blood in the car, but nothing like extreme. And then what was really weird about it is the back window was knocked out, and not from the crash. They believe that it was knocked out by someone escaping from the vehicle. So the police believe that Bryce survived the crash and left the scene. But they also thought that this could be a suicide attempt, because maybe he thought his car would land in the lake, like overshot it and didn't make it. That's what a lot of people think. Bryce is right around the age that a lot of people start experiencing psychotic problems. Schizophrenia normally pops up in college years for a lot of people. It could have been something to do with the Vyvanse. This isn't an uncommon age actually to have some type of episode and leave. There's actually many missing college students that just left the campus, or they were found later. So is it possible that Bryce just had some type of episode happening? I mean, his parents said he wasn't depressed. He never seemed depressed, but you know, people hide feelings. The fact that he left the scene is just baffling. Multiple bloodhounds were used to track his scent, and they actually tracked him leaving the scene.
Dogs actually trailed Bryce's scent across the dam, which it has a roadway across the dam, and then south down the spillway on the west side of the lake, and then it picked it up again on the west side of the spillway and then out towards the truck stop area.
At that point, the scent trail dissipates.
Police believe that it's possible he may have gotten into someone else's vehicle and drove away. That's the only explanation, because they combed this area. They did an intense search of the lake. They had divers and everything, and no one found a footprint, a shoelace, a button, nothing of Bryce's was found. No trace of him other than his scent at this truck stop. Now what was weird is a camera got a still image of him, a camera that was on the road that he was driving around on, and it captured him at 2:15 a.m. Then it also captured him at 4:29 a.m., which would indicate that he was just driving the same path, like some type of loop. Maybe he was contemplating something, maybe he was waiting for someone. I mean, nobody really knows. People have wondered if maybe Bryce had some type of concussion from the accident and then had amnesia, didn't remember who he was, and walked off and is now still roaming. And that's really the theory it seems like most people have. Since I'm weird, I have my own theories. I actually really think there's a decent chance that Bryce left on purpose.
Detective Robert Martindale is convinced that Bryce is still alive. He's just not sure that he wants to be found.
The fact that we haven't found any signs of Bryce or any activity of Bryce, I think he's just kind of wanted to get off the grid for a bit. I know in my heart he's out there somewhere. I just don't know where.
I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people that don't look into like conspiracies and stuff like I do, but this lake was a national park. And if you are not aware of how many people go missing in national parks, you should look it up, because it's really crazy. There are so many unexplained disappearances in national parks. It is bizarre, and there are so many theories. And not only that, but there was a military base, Edwards Air Force Base, like an hour and a half from this lake. I was like looking on the map last night. So I'm curious. If you've never heard of anything like this will probably sound so weird to you, but there are actually tons of secret programs where the people who work in the secret programs have gone missing, that they have completely left their lives and they've dedicated their lives to secrecy. I mean, there's all, come on. everyone knows there's secret programs now, right? And there are people in them that have literally disappeared from their families. If you're really, really high up, you didn't know there's clearance levels way beyond the president. If you are really high up, sometimes you have to leave your family. So it doesn't seem out of the question to me that he could have been accepted into some type of program or approached by someone to be in some type of extremely high level program where you'd have to leave your life. Obviously, I'm not saying this is true. This is completely just my own theory. And it almost looked like he faked a crash, left the scene like he had always planned to. Maybe the reason he waited so long and was acting so weird is because he was waiting for someone to give him the okay to, hey, meet me at this truck stop. Now that is out there. I am fully aware that that is an out there theory. I don't have any proof of this other than I just know that this stuff does happen. The fact that police do not think he's dead, they think he's alive and left. Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to know. I mean, who knows? But I think a lot of people will say the most likely scenario is that Bryce had some type of psychotic episode related to his violence and alcohol abuse, and it just had a really bad effect on him personally, and he kind of lost his mind. Maybe Bryce is still out there walking around in California or surrounding state. There's actually a really good chance that that is what happened. He's homeless, or he's just doesn't know who he is. There's a lot of people like that. Or there's a theory that he wanted to commit suicide and it didn't work the first time and he went somewhere else and did it and no one found his body. That's also possible. But I have this gut feeling that Bryce is out there, whether he is aware of what's going on or not. I feel so badly for Bryce's friends and family.
I'll never give up hope, but it's really difficult.
I can't imagine what it would be like just not knowing and having so many questions, especially wondering what it is he was gonna tell them. I mean, no one ever found out what it was that he had to tell them. I mean, that's a huge part of this as well. But if you live in California, especially in this area, please keep an eye out for Bryce. The more people see his face, the better chance his parents have of reconnecting with him. So please share his photo somewhere or share this video even. There is a Facebook page if you wanna go like it and stay up to date on Bryce's story. Of course, if you recognize Bryce and you have information that could help find him, please look in the description box. There will be information on how to get that info to the right people. But I want to know what you guys think. What is your best guess at what happened to Bryce? That's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go back in my bed and I will see you guys next time. Bye.